So after the first day, my right knee turned into like a balloon because I was, sitting in the spot for 12 hours. So the rest of the trip, I was I was on the IL basically, trying to, icing my knee down at the hotel every
That's when you
night and
know you're
taking,
getting old.
yes, it was a rough. It was physically, it was a tough trip. My knee is still pretty. I'm limping around like a old washed up athlete. But besides that, and besides the fact that my internet wasn't set up when I got here, and I'm running this entire show on my phone, other than those two things, flawless, amazing. I love Vegas. So excited to be here and excited to get back to work.
I'm pumped for you. That's when you know you're getting old is when
Appreciate
you
it.
get an injury from just sitting.
Sitting.
So
Yeah, I
just
was
saying.
stretching yoga. Did you know any good yoga people out in Vegas? I need like a Pilates or something. I don't know, but
Do
my
I
knee
know
is
yoga people in
it's
Vegas? Am I
it's
what
barking.
what?
I don't know. I don't know. You. I always see you posting Pilates and yoga. You're always doing fitness on the road. I figured I would give it a shot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I
Bear
don't.
with me. It's
Unfortunately,
early out
anytime I
here.
went to Vegas with the Avs, I was mostly in the casino, sleeping and working. I didn't work
Oh,
out in Vegas.
in the
So,
casino. Alrighty then.
oh
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
give me some of
All
those
right.
craps tables, and I'll run them.
Let's go,
Let's go.
LJ. Come to
I know.
Vegas and let's hit up the craps tables. Come on.
Let's do it. I'm in. Okay, I want to open the show before we get started into our Better Up segment. We have some AFC East division previews with Doug Kyed, and we have our college football coaches poll, which I know that your alma mater was snubbed. We'll get into that. But
Mm,
first of all, I want to open this up with Kevin Durant. Obviously, that's been something that we've been talking about for the last couple of months. KD wants a trade. He now met with the Nets owner and said, hey, here's my ultimatum. You either want me or you want Steve Nash and Sean Marks still together at that head coach and GM role, respectively. He said he doesn't want them together and he doesn't like the direction of the team at this point. So now, as an owner of a team, what do you do? Because you've talked to basically all of the other teams in the NBA, and none of them can live up to the expectations of what you want to get back for KD at this point.
Oh, I remember when we first started talking about this a month ago. Um, I was like, this is a mess, and it's not going to end well because there's so much money and team equity at stake here, not actual ownership of the team, but who runs the team. And we've had this debate for years with LeBron James. Who really is the general manager of the Los Angeles Lakers?
KD.
And I think, yeah, right. And I think this question will be answered by Nets owner Joseph Tsai. I'm sorry if I mispronounced his last name, but he's like the governor of the team, I guess, and he's the one that's going to make this decision. Now he's voiced support for the
Yeah.
front office. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. If you think I have any inside information on this, you're crazy. But I do think this is kind of a tip, maybe not a tipping point, but it's definitely a fork in the road for how teams are managed because a lot of times these front offices on like LeBron James with the Lakers, they're kind of fronts for really what who LeBron wants on the team and et cetera, et cetera. So I think that is a very difficult question to answer right now. But when we do get the answer, we'll know exactly who's running the show in Brooklyn. I think the GM and the coach will win out here, but I don't know for sure because KD draws a lot of attraction.
But it also depends on if a team's willing to give up what the Nets want in exchange for KD, right? Like it's not I feel like the coach and GM situation is easier to fix than finding somebody to trade for KD. But it is going to be
Sure.
interesting moving forward to see what happens here with NBA season quickly approaching. Training camp or whatever you call it, preseason starts mid-September, early September. So we'll see as
Soon.
these guys start reporting what's going to happen because it's
My
organized
guess is
now.
KD's on the team. I'm guessing KD's on the team when the season starts.
I do too, and I
I
think that
think
they're going to break
yeah,
up
yeah.
Steve Nash and Sean Marks, but we'll see how things go moving forward. So, moving forward with the show, let's get into MLB. Is the trend your friend, Jared? You didn't make any new friends this
Here we go.
weekend. Now it's time for some more
No.
trends and some more friends. So let's get into
Let's
it.
go.
Phillies run line. Marlins 0-11 on the run line in their last 11 games following a win.
Repeat that again, because I'm looking up the Phillies numbers now. Marlins are 0-11
on the run line in their last 11 games following a win.
So Braxton Garrett, Zach Wheeler today. Wheeler's numbers
speaking of Braxton
actually
Garrett, I'm also on a Braxton Garrett prop a little bit later in the show.
He's been flaming it. He's been firing it. Very small sample size for Garrett against the Phillies, just 16 plate appearances. That's surprising considering they play in the same division. Zach Wheeler, bigger sample size against the Marlins, 69 plate appearances, nice, but over 300 batting average against, which is surprising actually for Wheeler, who's got great numbers against everybody, but against this current Marlins lineup, not great. Again, only 69 plate appearances. Yeah, I would bet the Phillies. Listen, the Phillies need these games. The Marlins don't. The Phillies need these games. So I would lean towards that, but I hate betting run lines with teams at home. I'm gonna pass on this one. I'm talking myself into a paper bag. We're gonna pass. Sorry.
Pass. Okay, what about this one? A's run line. Angels 0-8 in their last 8 on the run line following a win.
Angels 0-8 on the last 8 on the run line following a win. It's Ohtani Day on the mound. Very exciting.
Yes, it is.
He has fantastic numbers against the A's. 76 plate appearances, 176 average against. Kapralian's got really good numbers, though, against the Angels as well. And they just started against them. I think he was, because we've got him in the walks parlay. So I'm gonna fade this one. I think Ohtani on the mound. I think I can't fade the Angels when Ohtani's on the mound. So I have to bet on the Angels. So I would unfriend this one. Sorry, Jabbar.
Okay, no friends yet. But how about this one? Mariners.
No friends. Friendless.
Yurfie. Yes, runs first inning. Mariners Yurfie is 6-0 in their last 6 as an underdog.
Love it. So Garrett Cole's been very iffy in the first inning this year. Especially lately. I mean, he got destroyed by this Mariners team in the first inning last week. I remember because I was watching the game from my hotel room. Luis Castillo also, I'm not 100% sure of this, but this might be his first home start because his last start was against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. So if this is his first home start with his new team in Seattle, there's a little pressure there. And the Nerfy here, I'm seeing minus 160 at DraftKings. No thanks. So, my sheet flashes a little bit of green towards the Nerfy here. So, I will friend this one. You got yourself a friend in me.
Okay, we got one friend, baby. 1 out of 3 so far. Hopefully we finish at 500. Astros versus Rangers. Under. The under is 6-0 in the last 6 games between these two teams.
Let's see who's on the mound tonight. Perez or Kyed, the under 6-0. Both guys have Perez's numbers are kind of The Astros at home are a better offense. This is a rivalry game, obviously, in state. You mentioned the over. I'm going to unfriend this one. I don't really feel
we only have one new
under
friend.
vibes in this game. I'm sorry. I don't feel under vibes here.
No, you're fine.
Perez's numbers aren't great.
We'll be back on the horse tomorrow, Jared. You'll have a camera tomorrow. You'll have internet.
I will.
We'll be back on the horse, and we might make some new friends tomorrow. But the one you did like was the Yurfie yes runs first inning. Speaking of Yurfie and Nerfy, the Yurfie yes runs first inning went 4-3 yesterday, but the Nerfy is still hitting at a 51.9% rate in August after a 4.6% in July, despite the fact that the Yankees is currently on a crazy 7-game Yurfie streak. So that is very interesting to look at. And I know the Yankees finally snapped their losing streak. They got back on the winning board, but they have been a Yurfie machine. Let's get into your walk this way parlay because we haven't had one of those in like 4 days at this point. So we're walking this way to Vegas for the parlay.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're not giving these up. You're going to have to rip these from my cold, dead hands. Mike Minor, over 1.5 at the Mets tonight. This one's juicy, minus 200, but an 82% hit rate on the season. That equates to minus 450 odds, 9 of 11 starts. So anytime I see that big of a gap, now I know that's a small sample size, but he's gone over in 5 straight starts, and he's had at least 3 walks in 4 of those games. So small sample size on the season for him. He was injured, but when I see just ridiculous walk numbers, I have to look. Even though it's minus 200, I still feel like there's a little cushion there with the expected value we're getting. And he's obviously, most guys are, except for one guy, which we'll talk about in a bit, but most guys walk more on the road than they do at home. Minor's walking over a half batter more per 9 on the road than he is at home. And against the Mets tonight, 17 of the last 25 lefties, that's 68%, have gone over 1.5. 12 of the last 18 at Citi Field, that's about 67%. And that's what the odds are telling us with this bet. So I feel like we're right on the mark with minus 200 odds, Mike Minor. James Kaprielian, plus money here, plus 110 against the Angels. So we told you earlier when Lauren was doing her Trend Friend segment, second consecutive start against the Halos. That's why I'm a little bit weary on backing the A's in any capacity, or you know that I love fading pitchers the second consecutive time they face the lineup. And Kaprielian has a 59% hit rate on this number this season, 10 out of 17, 54% if you include last season, 22 out of 41. That equates to minus 116 odds. So I feel like we're on the right side of plus money here. And Kaprielian's weird. He's walking over a half batter more at home per 9, over 4, than he is on the road, which is 3.4. So that's surprising to me. Usually guys are worse on the road. But Kaprielian, that A's ballpark, it's a trash can. Maybe that's certainly why. And 14 of the last 25 starters, righty starters, against the Angels have gone over 1.5. That's 56%. Finally, Alex Cobb. Listen, I haven't hit an under yet all year. We're going to hit one tonight, for crying out loud. Under 2.5 on Alex Cobb. They're facing the Padres tonight on the road. 76% hit rate on the season. On the underside, 74% if you include last season. That equates to minus 289 odds. We're only laying 70 cents for this bet. Big cushion there. And 16 of the last 25 righties have stayed under 2.5 against the Padres at Petco this season. Cobb had 2 walks against this team way back in his first start of the year, and he has only 3 walks in 60 plate appearances against his Padres lineup. So, again, I'm just betting the numbers. I'm ignoring anything else.
Yeah.
The numbers say we're getting value on all 3 of these. Minor over 1.5, Kaprielian over 1.5, Cobb under 2.5. The parlay is 4-1. Good luck, Godspeed.
The parlay is 4-1.
Crying out loud, we hit an under.
It's alive, it's well, and it's 4-1 odds, and we love to see it. All right, I'm on 2 strikeout props today. One of them I'm saving for my best bet of the day. I'm going back to the well with the guy that I've liked, and he's hit a couple play of the days for me over the last month or so. But the other guy I'm looking at is right here in Atlanta, Charlie Morton, over 5.5 strikeouts at minus 136. Now, Boston has been a little bit of a mess in the second half of the season. I mean, kind of the whole season in general, and I'm going to fade that for strikeouts here. Morton has seen his... He has 6+ strikeouts in 5 of his last 6 starts, and he has 48 strikeouts in his last 42 in the 3rd innings pitched. Now, Boston is averaging 6.67 strikeouts in their last 3 games. This is going to be closer, but over the season, they've averaged 8.36 strikeouts per game this season. I'm going to pay the juice here. It is worth the squeeze. It used to be at like minus 170. It's now moved to minus 136 or so. So I'm taking it. Charlie Morton, over 5.5 strikeouts, laying 36 cents for it. Why not? He's been a strikeout monger throughout like the first half of the season. He went down a little bit, took a little dip, and now it's going back up. So I feel pretty good about betting Charlie Morton here. The other one I'm going to save until my play of the day. So you got to stick around for that one when it comes to Braxton Garrett, like I was saying. All right, let's get into the NFL because we've been breaking down the NFC South. We've been breaking down the AFC, and today we have AFC East division predictions, win totals, division race, etc. At this point, it's Josh Allen's division to lose at this point. Jared, I know you're really high on the Jets. We're going to bring in Doug Kyed in a second. But before that, Jets, you're extremely high on them. this season, right? I know you bet the over their win total back in May. They had an A plus
Yes.
plus 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 draft. If some of these young guys could blossom early, they could have a better season than what a lot of people are expecting.
So the Jets are a perfect example in how you can make money betting the NFL without having to win any games or, come through with your bet. You're right. They had an A plus plus draft. Everyone knew it. Every single person who read any article knew that they had, because everyone wrote that they had a great draft. So that's why on May 3rd, I was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to bet. They were, of all the teams in the draft, they were the one that really got the most public attention, at least according to the East Coast, for sure.
And they needed it. They needed it.
Absolutely. So we bet the over 5.5 at minus 125 on May 3rd. And my thinking was, this number has only one way to go. It is going to continue to be bet up throughout the summer. And we wrote an article about this on Pickswise.com. We hope you read this article 3 months ago, because if you did, you're in a very advantageous position right now. And the thinking was, it's called a scalp in the gambling world. I don't do it that much because I don't bet enough to really make real money on it. But when you're betting thousands of dollars and you bet a minus 125 and it moves now to where it's moved to, you're willing to bet it at minus 160, but the underside is plus 145. So we have a minus 125 over 1.5, plus 145 under 5.5. We can make 8% ROI on that bet right now today without one game being played in the Jets season. That's a decision each individual bettor has to make. I likely am going to be scalping and coming off the under at some point during the preseason, probably sooner than later if the Mekhi Becton news is what I think it's going to be.
Yeah.
But that's my line of thinking with the Jets. I don't have a ton of analysis on where they're going to be this year just because I'm not very high. Frankly, I'm not that high on them. I think 5.5 is a fair win total. I think 6 or 7 is probably closer to where they're at, but they didn't win a ton of games last year, and it's tough to think that they're going to be better than that with a second-year quarterback and now perhaps their second-best offensive tackle and a guy that they really were relying on being out. So I'm weary on the Jets, and I think I will be scalping and selling my over ticket at some point during the offseason because it is worth 2 units, and that is nothing to sneeze over.
Another guy that's not too high on the Jets right now heading into the season, Doug Kyed, NFL reporter for PFF, betting the under win total when it comes to the Jets, even though it's set at the low number of 5.5. Doug, how are you? Happy Tuesday.
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. I'm back in Atlanta after being gone for like 23 days. Jared officially just moved to Vegas, and we get to talk a little AFC East division predictions. Why not? At this point, it's Josh Allen's division to lose. But we'll start from least to best. Okay, Jets. Win total right now set at 5.5. To win the division, it's 22-1 odds, which I don't think anyone's betting that at this point because we know that the Bills are not losing this division at this point of the season. But as I was talking about with Jared, they had an A+++ draft. I'm kind of leaning the over 5.5 in this spot, but you're betting the under here when it comes to the Jets. Why is that?
Yeah, I think they're still probably another year away. I like the coaching that they've got there with Robert Saleh and LaFleur as their offensive coordinator. I'm not convinced that Zach Wilson's the guy. If you look at him over 3 seasons or 3 seasons, he's only really had one good season, and that was 2020 when BYU had a pretty easy schedule, was not as good in 2019. Before then, was quite bad last season with the Jets. So I think I just want to see it from him for me to buy in on the Jets hype right now. And that even includes, them winning over 5.5 games. I think that the Mekhi Becton injury is a big deal right now too, especially since they haven't signed Dwayne Brown, who was with them, over the weekend on a visit. If they sign Dwayne Brown, maybe I have a little bit more confidence in them. But the fact that didn't happen immediately after the Mekhi Becton news, gives me a little bit of pause there. So I don't know. They've got a young team. They definitely have a lot of talent on their roster, but it all depends on Zach Wilson. And like I said, I think they're still probably a year away from being really competitive this year.
Doug, I've been a Jets fan my entire life, basically since birth.
I'm sorry.
I don't know I know. Me
Hey,
too.
I'm a Lions fan. Are you sorry
I
for me too?
I'm sorry for you too. It's brutal.
yeah. I don't know. There's two responses that I have. First of all, you're spot on with your analysis. Second of all, you don't want to use the Boca Raton Bowl for Zach Wilson to gauge how good he's going to be in the
Right.
So I'm with you there. I'm with you there. The Becton news is unfortunate, but let's be honest. Coming into the season, there was a lot of question marks about him, anyways, about his health, his weight, and his effectiveness. So I think you're right. It is strange that they didn't sign Dwayne Brown. Hopefully, they have another ace up their sleeve, but it's the Jets, so that is usually not a good hope.
Can
I
I
think under five
mention
and a
one
half.
thing
I'm going to be
about
betting.
Zach Wilson?
Please do.
Can I mention one
Please
thing about
do.
Zach
Yeah.
Wilson?
Please save me from
Like,
this.
I know you talked
Save me
about
from this
he
line of
couldn't
thinking.
really have like a worse season than he did last year. Last year he was like 36 out of 38 quarterbacks in average release time, and also 28.2 in QBR. It was the second worst of any quarterback in the league. I don't think he's going to regress this year. He's definitely going to get better, which could mean like, hey, alongside the pieces that they have with guys like, Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall, Sauce Gardner, which I think he's going to be
I hope you're
great and going to
right.
be a huge piece on the defensive side. The thing that had me leaning to the over here in this spot was, okay, you look at their schedule. They're going to win against the Bears in week 12, I think. Unfortunately, they're probably going to win against my Lions in week 15, the Jags in week 16. That's already halfway to the over at this point. Now you have a road game against the Seahawks with no Russell Wilson in week 17. 4 wins, I think. Now you need to split the series with probably one or more division opponents and pull off an upset. Maybe their upset is that week 2 game against Cleveland without Deshaun Watson. I think the number is low enough that it's a little juicy, but I don't know. Jared got it at a better value than I did. I'm laying 60 cents for it on FanDuel. Jared, you got it back when it was 25 cents. I think the juice is worth the squeeze, in my opinion, but also who the heck knows at this point with the Jets, because I'm making a bet on a team seeing all of these young rookies, hoping that they blossom early. But who knows if they're going to blossom early? I'm hoping they're going to be like a freaking tulip here in the fall. Blossom early and make a beautiful bouquet. But honestly, I'm riding high on a team that sucks. So who knows how that's going to play out. But Jared, ask about the Pats, because I'm really interested to see what you think about the 8.5 wins for this season that the total's set at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about a second-year quarterback that has a chance to make a bigger jump. I would say it's Mac Jones, who's in a much better system. But Doug, I feel like it's tough to really ask too much of him too. Like, I didn't see a ton last year, other than kind of, I don't want to call him a system quarterback, but I didn't see a lot that jumped off the page at me. Is Mac going to make a jump in year 2?
He certainly should. I think that out of any of those quarterbacks, he's got the best chance at just kind of staying the way he was last year. Maybe even seeing
Sure.
a slight regression, just because we had him graded around an 80 last season, which was much higher than the rest of the rookie quarterbacks. He loses Josh McDaniels. They've got Matt Patricia, Joe Judge, and Bill Belichick running that offense right now. They've added some pieces on offense. Devontae Parker's in there. Tyquan Thornton's been making some plays in camp. They've got the running backs all set up with Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris. So he's got a lot of talent around him. But things have been pretty ugly, actually, so far in Patriots training camp on offense as they get adjusted to the new system that's being, put in by Belichick, Patricia, and Judge. I think, just based on what I'm hearing from people inside the building, they're not really panicking about it. They've still got a month to go before the season starts. It's only early August right now. They actually think the offense is going to look a little bit better against other defenses, because right now their defense knows what they're going to be doing. They know the plays. These teams are so used to each other, or these sides are so used to each other right now. So I've got a slight over on the Patriots at 8.5. I'd say like 9 wins. I'm not convinced that they're going to win many more than that. I just think that, Mac Jones was good last season. They've built around him on offense. I think the defense probably got a little bit worse this season, but I'm just expecting the Patriots to be pretty much exactly the way they were last season. Maybe take a slight step backwards.
Yeah, there's still a lot of questions to be answered when it comes to the Patriots, right? I looked at this win total and I'm like, I don't even know if I can bet it. I'm kind of passing on this one. Like, offensively, do we even know who the play caller is going to be after Josh McDaniels leaves? And then defensively, JC Jackson leaving in free agency. Now there's no clear number one. I'm a little concerned about the secondary at this point. There's a lot of good pass catchers in that division. That needs to be figured out. And they don't have an easy path right away, right? They have 2 road games against the Dolphins and Steelers, then the Ravens at home, then back on the road to the Packers. They might have a 500 or under start to the year. Maybe 500, maybe under. So I'm staying away from this one, but I kind of do like your lean to the over here at this point. There's just so many questions to still be answered with this team. And you look at the Dolphins, another team that has a lot of questions to still be answered, but they're questions of guys that are already on the team, because this team had probably the biggest facelift of the division out of any team, right? They have a new head coach who could possibly be the coach of the year at this point. The future ticket, if you grab it, is at 16-1. And I think that he's such a good coach when it comes to quarterbacks and just knowing how to coach an offense, especially. He could kind of hide the inefficiencies of a guy like Tua, don't you think? Their win total right now is set at 9. How do you feel about the Dolphins in this spot?
Yeah, I'm high on the Dolphins. I think that the bet for Mike McDaniel to be head coach or coach of the year is a strong one, because I do think that the people who vote on that award value a first-year head coach. They value improvement.
Yes.
I think that we will see improvement from that Dolphins roster this year. And I think that Tua is set up for success under Mike McDaniel. They added, offensive line pieces. Obviously, Tyreek Hill was the big one at wide receiver, but they've got like a 5 or 6 deep stable at running back right now too. So basically everything that they did this offseason took pressure off of Tua Tagovailoa, and it seems like he's impressing right now in training camp. So maybe that helps. I think that even just the coaching styles between Brian Flores and Mike McDaniel could definitely help Tua as well, because I think that Brian Flores was really hard on Tua, and for a young player, it's basically sink or swim when a coach is going to be that tough on you. And I don't think that Tua reacted that well to that. So now you've got Mike McDaniel, who's a much softer edged head coach. I think that Tua will probably respond a little bit better to that. Add that to, all the pieces that I said that they've got on offense, and they didn't change their defense. They've still got Josh Boyer as their defensive coordinator. And they've still got most of their defensive stars on that side of the field. So I think the defense should stay the same or get a little bit better. And that offense, I expect to take a big step forward this year.
2 things about the Dolphins. First of all, that first game against New England is the winner of that game probably goes over their win total. Like, yeah. I honestly, it might be like 8.5, 9. They're both right there. So I think that first game is just huge for both of these win totals that are kind of in the middle ground average region of where win totals are. Secondly, the Dolphins win total is 9. That means you need to win 10 games to win that bet. If the Dolphins win 10 games this year, I want a Mike McDaniel 20-1 ticket in my back pocket for coach of the year, because I'm seeing McVay won it with the Rams with 11 wins, and this was, granted it was a 16-game schedule back then, but Stefanski won it with the Browns with 11 wins, and even back in 2009, Marvin Lewis did win it with the Bengals with 10 wins. So there is precedent for a guy with 10 or 11 wins winning coach of the year. So if you are going to bet the Dolphins win total to the over, if you are of the belief with Doug that they are a high upside team, you need to also get some stock in McDaniel for coach of the year, because those 2 bets incredibly correlated. The Buffalo Bills, let's be honest, I can't find anything bad to say about them, Doug. Please help me here, because when I look at their numbers, when I look at the Superbook put up their power ratings, Whale Capper, Drew Dinsick did a great job converting them into power ratings based on what the look-ahead markets are at the Superbook. And Buffalo's at the top of the board right now, well above everyone else, with an average spread of over 6 points. I'll be honest, 11.5 seems low, right? How does this team not win 12 games?
Yeah, I'm going over on this one as well. The one potential fatal flaw on the Bills would be at cornerback, just because Tre'Davious White coming off the torn ACL, no clear timeline on when he's going to be coming back. The other cornerback there is probably going to be rookie Kyed Elam, but he hasn't totally set himself apart, it seems like, so far. They've got a good slot cornerback in Taron Johnson, but I expected them to add one other cornerback this offseason, probably a vet, someone like Xavier Rhodes, who is still out there, and they just haven't done that. So maybe that shows that they've got faith in Tre'Davious White and Kyed Elam, but it's a little bit risky to go into the season injuries, uncertainty at that cornerback position, because like you mentioned earlier, I mean, there's a ton of really talented wide receivers in this conference, and you need Tre'Davious White to go up against those guys. You need Kyrie to play like, a rookie of the year type candidate to stop a lot of those guys. So that's the one potential fatal flaw. I do think that they're set up well on their defensive line to take pressure off the secondary, and otherwise their roster looks really good. So that's why I'm taking the over. But yeah, that cornerback group just gives me a little bit of pause.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. This is Josh Allen's division to lose at this point. I also really like the hire of Joe Brady as the quarterback's coach, because this guy got a lot of the credit for Joe Burrow and his success at LSU, right? I don't know why it didn't work out with Sam Darnold, but also it's Sam Darnold and we're talking about Josh Allen.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know why it
different
didn't work out with Sam Darnold.
completely. But if you look at the Bills' schedule, their hardest part of the schedule was right out of the gate. They're facing the Rams in week 1, which I'm so excited for that game, because the Bills at this point coming off of probably one of the most exciting games in NFL history against the Chiefs, right? Like, that was a wild game. And then 4 of their first 6 games are on the road. They have an early bye week in week 7. But even if they lose to the Rams, Chiefs, Bengals on the road, and Green Bay at home, we're still looking at a 13-4 record for the season at this point, which I like the over here too, over 11.5 and -135. I want to ask you about this too, Doug, because I bet this a few weeks ago and Jared was really high on it. For a division winner, obviously you look at the Bills and the juice that you need to lay for that. It's -250 right now. But I parlayed it with the Bills to win the AFC East and the Bucks to win the NFC South, because the Bucks are their favorite in the NFC South. And I got it at just over even odds at +102. They're both too juicy to bet on their own. How do you feel about parlaying the Bills and the Bucks together to both win their respective divisions?
I like that a lot, because the Bucs should be able to walk through the NFC South this season. I mean, looking to the future, when Tom Brady might not be the quarterback anymore, and Todd Bowles is now the head coach, like in 2023 and beyond, I think that division's wide open. But in 2022, I would be absolutely shocked, like flabbergasted. I think Tom Brady would have to be out for the season, something like that, for them to lose that division. So, and even if Tom Brady was out for the season, they might still be, talent-wise on par with the rest of the teams in that division. So I like that bet quite a bit.
Do we see Gronk back on the Bucs roster this season?
Probably. I mean, like the Bucs are so funny. Where like Tom Brady retires for 3 weeks or whatever it is, Rob Gronkowski retires for a year. I think that if anyone can convince Gronk to come out of retirement, it would be Tom Brady. So yeah, at some point, maybe for a playoff run, maybe if they get an injury at tight end or the offense sputters out of the gate or something, yeah, 100% would not be shocked if Gronk was back.
Oh man, I know, that's great.
The parlay vibes, we get a lot of crap from people saying, "Oh, the parlays are bad bets." Yes, most of the time you're going to lose, but if you're parlaying 2 things that are plus EV, in my opinion, and the Bucs being -200 and the Bills being -200, that implies 60-70%. So that means if an 8-9 out of your 10, hypothetical scenarios, the Bucs and the Bills are winning their divisions, and you're parlaying those 2 bets together, it's not a bad bet. So just the people out there that are like, "Oh, parlays are bad." Like, yes, if you do them every day for ridiculous 8, 9, 10 team leg parlays with just ridiculous bets, yes, you're going to lose. But when you take 2 bets that are likely to hit, as these are, it can be a smart wager. So I'm putting at least 2 units on that parlay, LJ. I love that bet a lot. I really do.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Doug Kyed, we so appreciate your time. NFL reporter for PFF.
Great job,
Thank
Doug.
you for coming on. And hopefully we get another T-Mobile commercial if Gronk comes back out of retirement, because the first one, beautiful.
T-Mobile, yes. What was the insurance company they was doing last year though? Those commercials.
Oh, it was the USAA when he wanted to get. That was a messed up commercial. Like, bro, you're not special, bro. You're not going to get the Army rate for the USAA insurance, dude. Relax. Yeah. You can afford to pay regular priced insurance. Jeez.
Absolutely.
Like the rest
T-Mobile,
of us.
yes. USAA, no. It was great being on with you guys. Happy to join anytime.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. Looking forward to chatting throughout the season. All right. From men to boys we go, because we're going to college football for a second. Obviously, yesterday, the USA Today coaches poll was put out. And Jared, I know you're a little pissed about this one because your Penn State Nittany Lions were snubbed in this spot. Number 1 through 5, which we have on our sheet right now. I had to include number 6 in there because obviously my school's at number 6. I don't know why we stopped the list at number 5 on our Google sheet, Justin and Jacob, but
I know
next
why.
time you got to include Michigan. So number 1, we have Alabama. The return of Bryce Young and Will Anderson have people very excited. They got 47 of the 63 first place votes, and it's well deserved at this point, don't you think, Jared?
100%. Texas got a first place vote, I see. I wonder who did that. I don't know why Texas. I don't know why Texas. So the first,
but they are at number 18. They are at 18 after going 5-7 in last year and 3-6 in conference play. So people are riding high on Quinn Ewers and Bijan Robinson.
Whoever voted for Texas for first needs to get their vote taken away. There is only one vote. There's only one vote for first place that needs to be made by. It needs to be unanimous. Alabama's the best team in the country. Period. End of story. Hands down. In terms of the rankings, in terms of Penn State getting snubbed, who freaking cares? I could care less about these rankings. These rankings every year prove to be absolutely meaningless. Let me give you an example. 2021. Let's take a look at the preseason rankings from 2021. And let's see the top. I'll read you the top 10 in the preseason last year. Alabama, Oklahoma, Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, A&M, Iowa State, Notre Dame, sorry, LJ, UNC. These rankings are meaningless. Let them play the games, and then we will see how the teams do once the games actually start. These rankings are just bogus. But the Alabama's the best team.
I mean, the fact that Clemson is sitting at number 4 right now, it's all about DJU's development. Cade Klubnik waiting in the wings at this point. Georgia is sitting at number 3. They lost a ton of players to the NFL, but they still have a lot of elite talent. Their schedule suits them well. Ohio State sitting at 2, coming off of a loss to Michigan for the first time in nearly a decade. They have unfinished business at this point. CJ Stroud coming back, 44 touchdown performance last year. Then you look at Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman. This year, I don't know how I feel about Notre Dame, but if you look at the draft classes coming in for 23, 24, and 25, Marcus Freeman did a really good job. Really good job.
And what about that in 2025?
Not mention Michigan sitting at 6. Go Blue, baby. They made the playoff last year. I'm high on them again this year. And Penn State honestly was snubbed because Sean Clifford's coming back for his 6th year. James Franklin made a comment a few days ago that said whatever issues they had the last couple of years are going to be fixed. Didn't necessarily give answers of how they're going to be fixed. But last year they didn't have a running back, Jared, that gained 100 yards. Franklin said they have the depth to make up for it this year. It's going to be interesting to see how things go moving forward because college football is right around the corner. Game 1 is like in 3 weeks. So really looking forward to that.
So excited for college football.
Rankings don't matter, though. Rankings don't matter, according to Jared. All right, let's go to Pickswise.com.
Don't matter.
Who's our 3-star play of the day for today?
Well, Keith Schmelter up to his old tricks again. This dude just keeps cashing 3 stars. He's on a total in the Twins-Dodgers game. I'm the second I get we're done with this call, I'm literally picking up my phone and I'm gonna bet it. And Chadwick Wetzel, this one's juicy, so be mindful of that. But he's betting a side in the Cardinals-Rockies game. But if you're willing to lay some juice at Coors Field tonight, we'll take some juice at Coors Field in just a moment. But if you're willing to lay some juice at Coors Field tonight, Chadwick Wetzel has a bet for you. So a couple of MLB 3 stars on the site today. Go get him, baby.
The juice is worth the squeeze, baby. Our best bets of the day. I'll let you go first with your Nerfy, and then I'll follow up with my Braxton Garrett strikeout prop because he's been red hot for me lately.
He really has. I'm excited to hear your reasoning there. So I am betting the Nerfy at Coors Field tonight. It wouldn't be it feels fitting, right? First show in Vegas. We're up early at the butt crack of dawn. We're doing research, and the Nerfy at Coors Field pops off my sheet tonight. Love it. It's plus 140 at MGM, big juicy nugget. And when you look, again, when you're just looking at the Nerfy at Coors Field, take everything else out with the Rockies and the Cardinals games this year, just the Nerfy at Coors Field is hitting at 42.1% this year. Plus 140 dictates a higher percentage than that. So again, I feel like we are getting just a little bit of value Plus 137 is fair value for the Nerfy at Coors Field this year if you just take 24 out of their 51 games. So that's that part of it. We're getting a little bit of value just based off the Coors Field side. Now let's look at the starting pitchers. Miles Mikolas, Ryan Feltner. Mikolas has been great this year. 17-5 to the Nerfy, 10-1 on the road. Amazing first inning numbers. Great. I feel good that Mikolas is going to be able to get through the bottom of the first inning. Let's look at now the top of the first. Ryan Feltner's never faced the Cardinals before. That's a positive. But making just his 11th career start, and he's only 5-3 to the Nerfy, is 9th this season, 5-3 to the Nerfy this year. 11th career start. He made 2 last year. He's got a live fastball, but obviously I'm worried about Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt. Those are the 2 guys that have completely wrecked this handicap. The Cardinals have had 5 consecutive Yerfies, which is crazy. Hope for some regression there. They were all at home, though, and they're a much better team at home, 42%, than they are on the road, drops to 26%. So maybe, I know it's Coors Field, but maybe away from St. Louis, their offense will take just one hair step back, and that first look at Feltner in the top of the first inning, Goldschmidt and Arenado will be neutralized, and we will get through unscathed, plus 140, the Rockies-Cardinals Nerfy for my play of the day. Hopefully we get the Coors Field vibes. I was there 2 days ago. I paid my respects. It's a beautiful place. There was no game happening, but I was there.
It is a beautiful place.
And hopefully now we can win a Nerfy at Coors tonight.
And I was there for about a week and a half last week and the week before. So
yes, you were.
I love Denver. It has a special place in my heart. Obviously lived there
beautiful
for
city.
Years. The best. The absolute best. I'm taking my talents to Braxton Garrett. Now, I don't want to go back to the well too much, but I'm a little thirsty and girl needs a drink, okay? I'm here again, and I'm drinking the Braxton Garrett Kool-Aid. Over 5.5 strikeouts at plus 115 on DraftKings. Now, on FanDuel, it's actually at 4.5 right now, and it's juiced to the high heavens. You're laying 70 cents for it. So get it at DraftKings, over 5.5 strikeouts at plus money, plus 115. The Phillies offense has been scorching when you play against a team like the Nats. That does that to you. But you look at a guy like Braxton. He's at 49 strikeouts in his last 40 and a third innings pitched. This includes 11 and 8 against the Reds and then 7 in his last start against the Pirates. He's hit this total in each of his last 4 starts. Now you look at the Phillies. They're averaging 8.3 strikeouts per game. And their last 3 games, they're only averaging 5.33. So it's going to be tight. But I do trust Braxton. I trust his stuff. I trust his command. And I think that he can hit this total of over 5.5. He just needs to go about 5 1/3, 5 2/3 innings with the way his numbers have been trending to be able to hit this. And getting it at plus money, I'm willing to take that risk, baby. Let's make it happen. Braxton Garrett over 5.5, plus 115 on DraftKings. That's it for us,
Go,
Jared.
baby.
That's it for us today. Let's go.
We
Find
did
us on
it.
Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to Pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. Jared Smith. I'm Lauren Jabara. We're back home. We love to see it. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Let's get it. Let's bet it.